Just taking off, segueing from your point, Candidate Smith, about experience, I'll share with both of you my take on the material I've read online that both of you have placed on Facebook and maybe a web page. I'm not sure if Candidate Smith has a web page, but you do, Candidate Mungo. So my takeaway from looking at the material that you put out there by yourself is, Candidate Mungo, that you're the candidate of values, and Candidate Smith, you're the candidate of experience. I'd like each one of you, we'll again keep it alphabetical. Candidate Mungo, do you agree or disagree with the Stark County Political Report's takeaway?
It depends on what you mean by agree. I do not mean to imply that Bill does not have values. I've actually enjoyed getting to know Bill in this process, and I do not question his values, ethics, or morals in any way whatsoever. But I also fully recognize that Bill has a political experience that I do not have. I believe that some of my leadership experience on the board for the hospital, in private practice, and running businesses, a small business also, I believe that I bring certain qualities that are different and unique. But there is a difference between us. He does have the experience in politics, but I have private practice and private sector experience that I bring in that I think is unique, and bringing in my experience with working with the government in the medical practice is also a unique outside perspective. So I'm presenting myself. Now, let me back up. Values are very important to me. I'm a member of Alliance Friends Church. I believe I'm a true historian. I have a passion for American history. And so I have a deep appreciation for where this country's been and where it's going, and that's part of the reason I'm actually doing this. Is you can either sit back and watch things go down a bad road, or you can try and jump in and make a difference. And so values, principles, and reasons make a big difference. The reason you do something matters, and so it is very important to me, first and foremost.
Okay, picking up on the values factor, of course, Stark County Political Report gets out across Stark County, major cities, townships, the county itself. And most of the meetings I go to along the values lines, the meetings open with prayer and pledge allegiance of the flag. Stark County commissioners do not open with prayer. If you become a Stark County commissioner, is that something you want to change?
I'm not going to force my prayer on the other commissioners, but I can certainly ask for a prayer.
Okay.
Congress opens session with a prayer. Keep in mind that all of our founding fathers would be considered extreme right-wing extremists by today's political standards. Knowing history and where we've come from puts it in perspective. And there's a lot of organizations that open with prayer. You don't have to believe in God to have an appreciation for having unchanging morals, principles, and values. And so I'm not going to force it on anybody. The best way to lead somebody to God is by example. And so hopefully my life will be an example to people.
Candidate Smith, same question. Your course focus would be if the Stark County Political Report is on the mark, engaging your strength, the experience factor. And of course, if you want, please go ahead and get into the values thing too.
Okay, the experience, again, I think I bring 40 years of business experience to the table in various fashions. In that business end of it, I had been on the elected East Central Ohio Food Dealers Board for 15 years, elected chairman twice. That encompassed half of Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and a little bit of West Virginia. Had 950 members. So it was, again, a good learning tool and a learning experience over the years. But I've been on the Canton Township Board of Trustees for 14 years and have a representative on Stark County Regional Planning. I am now the representative for 17 townships for the Stark County Reutilization Corporation, which is the land bank. And so my experience throughout the township with all the county officials at one point or another, I've come work with and appreciate. I feel that as a county commissioner, in a large sense, I could hit the track running because I've already know the players and I know the methodology that you have to use and
Of course,
the
the
rules.
township trustees is a three-member
And it's
board too.
Exactly, it's a three-member board. You come in as a three-member board. As Dave said, you could suggest something to the other two, but it takes three. It takes a majority, two out of the three to move things. So I feel that on the experience factor, I've been there and have experienced quite a bit, in the different things that I've done at the township level. The values, I am a member at St. Mary's St. Benedict's. Been, throughout the community, I've always tried to, treat people as they would want to be, as you would want to be treated type of situation. I'm just kind of somewhat of a simple type of person that way. I just feel that, family and faith and is very important. So, I mean, that is what is the backbone, of a lot of what I do and why I do it. So.
Moving back to your experience factor, Canton Township trustee. Over the 14 years you've been a Canton Township trustee, what is your most significant achievement in your own eyes?
Where do I begin? I don't know. That was really hard to do because I had to. I do things and I don't do them to note them, and I had to go back a little bit. But I guess when I first came into office, we were going to be split in two practically by an annexation, 880 acres. And after a year of negotiating with Mayor Watkins at the time, was able to get that turned around. And it took me a whole year for our board. I was the liaison because I could get away. I could get down to the meetings.
What year was that?
Would be in '02 and '03, and we had a cooperative economic development agreement with the city, which is somewhat, you could almost say it's somewhat of a regionalization, where the city comes out, but the township stayed whole, and the taxes stayed at the township, and the city came out, and now you start working together toward the development of that land. And that, at the time, was the largest agreement of its kind in the state of Ohio at its time. But here of recent, and it took me probably another year and a half with Mayor Healy and his staff, we were able to acquire water in Canton Township without annexation. And the Canton South area will now have the ability, and they're working on engineering it as we speak, to bring water to the neighborhoods down there without annexation. So those are two of the larger agreements. Another one that I know others have followed was we worked on a mutual aid fire agreement. And it's something that never happened before. And that probably
Mutual aid with whom?
with Canton City. And so what happened was in '03, after the flooding in '04, we had homes that burned down that we bought with FEMA money that were in the flood area. I suggested and we arranged that the two fire departments get together and work together in training. And it seemed like at that point there was a desire to, hey, let's start looking at this mutual aid, working on radios together, working on helping each other out. And one of the instances what had happened, there was a warehouse fire down here right below Central Station at the tracks that took all their manpower.
Canton Central
Canton
Station.
Central Station. And at that time, it was really odd to see yellow fire trucks in Canton Central Station with our manpower covering the rest of the city while they fought the fire there. And they have done likewise to us. And since then, Perry, Plain, Jackson, they've all started going with mutual aid agreements with the city, and everyone started working together and helping each other out, which I think is something that needs to be done more often throughout a lot of services in the county.
So as a county commissioner, you would be at the forefront and advocating connections, mergers, cooperation agreements to make Stark County government more effective and more efficient?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many services and goods and services, and not only just townships and cities, but there are some situations where you could even pull in the schools. And if there was cost savings in volume buying of particular items, and I would at least say that I would be in favor of to investigate that. To go in and say, hey, we're gonna bring this health department under one umbrella, well, you really gotta uncover all the intricacies of that. And it has to benefit all. Everyone has to come out as a winner. So at that point, I would definitely be at the forefront wanting to say, let's look at bringing these departments together. And if it's mutually beneficial to all and the taxpayers at most, then that's what we need to do. And put egos aside and put everything aside. Let's take care of the taxpayer first, and let's get these services. We duplicate way too many services for the size of county we are.
Candidate Mungo, your thoughts on this very topic?
Which topic? That was a whole bunch of them.
Basically, it's more efficiency, more consolidation, more mergers, more cooperation. It takes on a lot of different forms, but in terms of taxpayer efficiency, is there anything you can add to what candidate Smith just...
In the previous interview, I think the short answer I said was that's a no-brainer. But the prolonged explanation is absolutely, of course. We've had to do the same thing in healthcare. There's something called the Independent Hospital Network of small independent hospitals in this part of the state, where we've done the exact same thing. We've combined purchasing power, combined services, and where it makes sense to have significant cost savings. The hospital was when I was on the board, had to go through a $1.5 million cut due to the new bed tax that the state passed at the time, and so we've had to make a lot of those cuts at that level also. So